That soundtrack, definitely your cue that it is the summit o'clock, coming to you live from our news center right here at the Rwanda Television Center. That is the command center. This is the summit, and every week, every night at 9 p.m. we come to you and just to try and understand some of the key issues that affect you from one way or another right here on the summit. And that's what we call scaling the heights, to bring you some of those big conversations and also make it affordable for you to be able to also participate in this particular kind of conversations. Remember, all the time, always, you can definitely be able to be part of the conversations, and you need to just add the hashtag the summit RW. As always, my name is Eugene Nangwe. This is a breakout session of the summit, and it's an interesting one because tonight it's a one-on-one edition, and we want to try and make sense of the revenue collection for creatives in Rwanda, for authors in Rwanda. And before we even do that, let's just first of all try to make sense of what we know about the issues of the revenue collections right here when it comes to the creatives in this particular country. It's a very interesting landscape when it comes to its revenue base, and of course the impact that this particular sector can be able to contribute to the economy. Revenue in digital music market is actually projected to reach 367,000 US dollars by the end of 2023. This is actually media, and it will be important for us to try and understand how far we are on this particular target or landscape when it comes to the projections of the revenues. We also understand that music streaming is actually the largest market for musical works. We've seen a lot of musicians going onto music streaming platforms. That is actually one of the areas where they're actually making bread and butter from that particular space. We also understand that this particular music streaming market is projected to hit a volume of around 340,000 US dollars in 2023. Of course, if you're an artist, I'm sure you understand what I mean by that, but we'll try to make sense on whether you are actually receiving your dues or you're seeing any value on these particular platforms in terms of collection of royalties. In global comparison, most revenue will be generated in US to a tune of 106.6 million US dollars in 2023. So meaning that for those who are actually streaming their music across different places, including the US, this is actually the projection in that particular sense. Now, we will be talking about this particular association or society, which is the Rwanda Society of Authors, which was established by the Rwandan artists in 2010. And of course, this association was established with the support of the government. We're talking about the Ministry of Sports and of course the Rwanda Development Board being key players in this particular formation of this society. We want to make sense of the role of this particular society and of course what it is doing so far, and the projection or the protection of intellectual property rights and copyright is actually at the heart of this particular society. And who best to help us make sense of this particular society's role other than the Chief Executive Officer himself of the Rwanda Society of Authors, John De Dieu Turinimana. Thank you so much for making time, sir.
Welcome.
Asante sana. You know, we are always saying that we are on the summit, and I've never seen a summit that does not have entertainment. And of course, tonight on the show, we try and put a spotlight on the creatives space, especially authors, but we'll also shine a spotlight, especially on the area of musicians when it comes to your society. Let's make sense about this society. Of course, we understand that it was established in 2010. And of course, the aim was to collect, distribute the royalties for rights holders, to act as the custodian of creative products, and to distribute such products to clients. It's been 13 years. Yeah. But before we even talk about what has been achieved over the 13 years, let's try and understand why. What necessitated the formation of this society?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, the Rwandan Society of Authors, in technical terms, it is what we call collective management organization.
CMO.
CMO.
Yes. And
it was established in 2010, as you have just mentioned it, yeah. In partnership and with the support of Ministry of Sport and Culture and Minicom and Rwanda Development Board, which is now the supervising body of Rwanda Society of Authors.
Yeah.
It was established under the law on the protection of intellectual property.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the promulgation of 2010 IP law of Rwanda, there is an article which provides that there shall be the organization which will represent the authors, composers and authors. Our organizations, which we call multidiscipline collective management organization,
Yeah.
meaning that it represents the authors of different categories of artists. Putting things otherwise, it's representing musicians, filmmakers, authors of books, and so on and so forth. So our mandate is to collect royalties and distribute to the rights holders.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you can pause there or park there, and then we can be able to come back to interrogate whether that is being done or not. Let's talk about these right holders who give you this mandate to actually do the collection for them and represent them. What is the status today? What is the membership like? How many are your members in terms of numbers, so that we can be able to move to the next question?
Yeah, thank you. We have now more than 1,000 members in different categories. And we have a long way to go. As in Rwanda, we have many rights holders, but they have not yet joined the Rwandan Society of Authors, maybe due to the unawareness, and we are trying our best to raise awareness campaign for corporate protection, so as to make them be aware of collective management organization and to know the importance of collective management organization, as the rights holders or artists can create the songs and the other corporate works, but they cannot manage where all the corporate works can be used as provided by the law. And coming back a little bit, the law provides that whenever and whoever will use the copyrighted works in the public or in the business will be entitled to be given the license or the authorization from the copyright owner or the representative of the corporate owner. And Rwandan Society of Authors has been mandated to represent
the owner.
all the owners of copyright. Without go further, I want to explain that Rwandan Society of Authors does not only represent local artists, but also foreign artists.
So you represent Jay-Z?
Yeah.
You represent Beyonce?
Yes.
And how do you give them their money?
Okay.
Their royalties?
Yeah, let me explain. Rwanda has signed what we call Berlin Convention, International Berlin Convention. In that convention, there is 3 main principles. I'm going to talk about one principle, which is called the national treatment. National treatment provided in that aforesaid Berlin Convention provides that the signatory country of Berlin Convention has to treat equally the artists or the corporate holders of any country that has signed on that convention. Example, if Rwanda has for example, Nigeria, if the P-Square, their corporate works are played or used here in Rwanda. As Nigeria has signed to the Berlin Convention, so we have to protect them the same way as we can protect the artist A or B, Eugene or
Interesting. And I want to understand, because I'll come back to the reasons why you only have 1,000 members, you know, spread out across different disciplines. For the last 13 years. And you mentioned that awareness could be one of the issues. that is causing or making the many artists or many creators or authors not to join or become or give you the mandate to collect for them?
Yes.
And you say that you are actually raising awareness. I want to understand, how are you raising awareness? Which platforms are you using? And what message are you pushing out as part of raising the awareness about what you do? When the last post, for example, on your Facebook page was posted in 2020.
Yeah. So we use means of mass communication.
Like which one?
Like talk show on televisions, Isangosta. This is not the first time we have came here to the RBA. I think it's 3 times.
Since 2010?
Yes, if my memory serves well. We use print media, we use websites and so on and so forth, so as to make the corporate holders aware. But we are, as the era is changing many things and technology, we are planning to change ways of communication so as to make the artist be aware of the copyright.
So how far have you reached with that planning to change? Or are you still planning to change? How far have you reached in planning? Because look, if you've been mandated and you know, with the support of those strong government institutions,
yes,
and you're reporting back and saying only 1,000 people or authors have actually mandated us to do what you supported us to do, aren't you seeing a failure here, a lack of, it's a vote of no confidence? Would you not see it that way?
I can't say so, but the means we used it to register members was very complicated because it was to sign on papers. But now we have just made the platform where wherever the member or the artist who want to join the society can use. So he can register digitally instead of coming through the office. And we used it to go to the provinces in the countryside to make awareness campaign and taking more papers to the artists for registering themselves. And we saw that it's now it's not modern. We have...
So you've now upgraded to digital platforms.
Yes.
So where do you see the problem? Because if you're saying you're now advancing to digital ways of registration, but yet internally your level or scope of use of digital platforms is also questionable. I spent a lot of time trying to find even your Twitter handle. What's the Twitter handle for the society? So
all of them are the things that have to be changed.
Yeah, but why is it taking long? 13 years, honestly.
So, honestly, we have met or encountered so many challenges.
Talk to me about those challenges.
The challenges we have encountered for 13 years, first of all, we have encountered the problem of based on finance.
Funding, internal funding.
Internal funding, and you know that all of those things are requiring the fund. But by now, as we are collecting more money and we have fortunately get the fund from NORCOD, Norwegian Corporate Development Association.
Yes.
We, by means of reciprocal agreement, which I'm going to account for as the talk show goes on. And as the problem of financial has been fixed, we are going to advance.
You're going to advance? Jet speed. But have you ever received any funding or any kind of, let's now stick to the funding because you said it's one of your biggest challenges. So the government of Rwanda has never funded you?
So it has funded in the beginning, but it
was not enough.
It was not enough.
So if you were to account for the about, I think it's about 15, either 15 million or 15, how much was that you got in the initial stage from government in terms of funding?
15 million
15 million Rwandan francs.
Yeah.
So what did that do?
In the beginning, we have to recruit qualified international copyright experts that could help us to put things on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. As in Rwanda, we didn't have so many people who were able to run for the collective management organization, as it was new things. We have used them in the trainings, training the staff that can be qualified to go to the field to convince the users of copyrighted works, and the salaries of the staff. So and many things, and in awareness campaign were used in those 15 million Rwandan francs. So it was not enough, but we tried our best to be in order so as to get the way that we can be able to run the society till now. And we have now just distributed the 3 times from 2019 up to now, and in this year we will do another.
You'll do another distribution. On the issue of funding, I mean, you mentioned that you now feel like you're ready to pick up or grow from where you are, but you received an additional 200,000 from NOC funds from the NOCOD that you mentioned earlier on.
Yes.
And I wanted just to understand, how would you explain that this funding, I mean 15 million and then an extra 200,000 at a time of 2010, just trying to go back and try to understand those times in terms of the economic times. And then you go back to report to them that, hey guys, we only managed to recruit or to have a membership of around 1,000 people. And
we have gone to the field we should not do awareness campaign for rights holders only. We have also to go to the field to do awareness campaign for the users of copyrighted works. If I say user of copyrighted works, means hotel, bar, restaurants, radio, TV, and other broadcasters, digital platform, to name but a few. So it's a big task that requires much more fund.
Now, you've spoken, fair enough, you mentioned about the aspect of the challenges of funding, but let's now talk about the perception.
Yes.
Before we even came on air, when we had posted that there's this, society that exists, one of the prominent artists sounded surprised, sounded shocked. And they actually tweeted and said they are expecting to hear more answers around this society. Why do you think there's that feeling of no need to actually work with these people? There's that feeling of there's no trust, there's no belief that it is indeed true that you're collecting and you'll distribute this money on their behalf. Why do you think that there's that perception around artists that you're actually supposed to be representing?
Those artists who are complaining need to know the challenges. They may have some chance to explain on that. I have just said that there are many users of copyrighted works. And users of copyrighted works in Rwanda are very reluctant to comply with the law. And, for example, you can be the famous artist that is played on radios and other platforms. And the problem will be that those platforms and users of copyrighted works that are playing your works or your musical works, for example, are not complying with the law. And one who is not famous is played, for example, on 1 or 2 radios that are complying. So if we distribute money, you will be shocked as you find that you have not been distributed money, as the users of your cooperative works has not been compliant.
Whose work is it to enforce compliance?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
As the law is in place, there should be the compliance or the enforcement.
Yeah.
And now we are dealing with Rwanda Development Board and other enforcement bodies to work together so as to enforce the law, so that the corporate owners can get revenue from their works that are being used anywhere in Rwanda and abroad.
So as we speak today, who is doing it? Who's enforcing it? Where does the buck stop in terms of enforcement?
In terms of enforcement, RIB can intervene.
Can?
Yes.
Or should?
Should intervene.
So are you in collaboration?
Yes, we
what
are.
I'm trying to
We are in
understand.
collaboration.
What is being done? Because if an artist, you talk about your challenges,
Yes.
they go through a lot of challenges as well.
Yes.
So if they go through all those challenges to put out their work, only for them to get nothing out of it or not what they expected,
Yes.
we can't just sit here and say enforcement is not being done. So are you saying that RIB is dropping the ball on enforcement? Who is actually failing in this? That's what I want to hear.
So I can say that one is failing. As I remember before the COVID-19 outbreak, we were to give them the contact of all those users of cooperative works that have been reluctant to comply with
You are
the law.
to give RIB.
Yes. And then they have to call one
Each of
by
them.
each of them so as to increase the trust. Some of them are not complying with the law, saying that this is not fair, this is not legal, this is, and so on and so forth. But if we call them, it will have positive impact on the operations of Rwanda Society of Authors. And in 2022 and in 2021, RIB called few of users and they began to comply, and we thank RIB for that. And one day, I remember Rura published the communique urging the broadcasters as the regulator of broadcasters to liaise with Rwandan Society of Authors in a bid to arrange musical works license agreement. And it had been very fruitful as some broadcasters agreed to sign a musical works license agreement and they are now paying. So we are trying to interact with those institutions that can help us in enforcement so as to make the users of copyrighted works to comply with the law on intellectual property
Someone
rights.
listening would be feeling that probably you want someone else to do your job, or probably when you even get that little assistance, you still want them to go an extra step. So if RIB went ahead to call,
Yes.
I mean, each of those people you gave a list, how long was the list? 2 pages, 3 pages, 10 pages?
Yeah.
It must be a very long list from what you're saying. If they were called
Yes.
and something happened,
Yes.
the momentum started off,
Yes.
then you went also to Rura and momentum picked up. Then what did you do yourselves to now maintain that momentum so that today we'll be saying we have dealt with the issue of compliance, or at least we are at a better place than before?
Yes. What we do for our side is to approach each and every user to explain the law article by article, and IP law or copyright law is a very technical law, which is not easy to understand. And we know what we have done and what we are doing till now is to do continuous approach to the users of copyrighted works. And you know that, for example, hotel, restaurant, you convince someone and he changed the business and there come another user and it requires you to go back there to explain, and you understand that it's a continuous process. And before sum up, let me tell you something about copyright.
Yeah.
Copyright is built on three pillars. One pillar is legislation. Legislation, the law is there, is in place, and fortunately is under revision for new articles that were not in the current law.
Yeah.
Other pillar is the management.
Yes.
We have collective management organization, and the third pillar is the enforcement. Whenever there is the pillar which is not doing well, in all countries, the copyright system cannot be effective, and it requires collective effort for legislation, management, and enforcement so as to be fruitful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the operations cannot.
Will not be fruitful.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Let's talk a bit about what is required
Yeah.
of our viewer who's listening or who's watching us tonight.
Yes.
What is required? What am I supposed to do if I'm, operating which kind of business? And if I'm doing a salon business, hotel business, I'm in my car, I'm driving and I'm listening to music or
Yes.
a podcast with someone, what am I required by law?
What you are required by law is, if you use the music and other copyrighted works in your business, it means that it is the product that you are using, even though it is not tangible. It's a tangible product, but it is making your environment be pleasant, and it is attracting the clients directly or indirectly. For example, if we have a bar and restaurant in any neighborhood, and one of them is not using music, and the neighbor restaurant is using music, you will find that many people will go to the restaurant or the bar that is using music works, as it is making them be pleasant, meaning that that's a product that is attracting the clients, is the intangible product that is helping you or your business to be fruitful.
So what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, what you are supposed to do is to get license, as I have just mentioned above. In which way? You will interact or liaise with Rwanda Society of Authors, and as I have told you, we go to the field in or to every user, every hotel, to tell them, now you have to get the license if you are using copyrighted works. The first step, we ask them or we request for them the appointment to meet with them and explain everything so that we can make them aware of the law. After meeting with them, we tell them what to do. We have to give them the contract or music works license agreement they sign. Copyrighted license is the annual license. After the year, you will need to renew the contract. So after giving them the contract, they have to pay. How do they pay? We have the tariff that has been approved by Registrar General of Rwanda Development Board, as it is provided in the aforesaid IPLO. After, in that tariff, there is many sections: nightclubs, hotels, restaurants, swimming pool, and the like. So we see our category and show you how much you are supposed to pay.
Interesting. And if this is the case, then I'm sure there's a point where someone would tell you, no, I'm not going to pay. I'd rather switch off the music, or I'm actually even promoting this artist.
Yes.
Or probably you've said that if you play the music or the work, then it's attracting other people to come to your place.
Yes.
But I'm only in my car.
Yes.
And so I'm not in any business
Yes.
of attracting anyone into my personal private car. I'm just driving and I'm going to where I'm going.
Yes.
So how do you deal with such kind of thoughts? How do you deal with such kind of people?
Okay, thank you very much. A good question. We have two categories of users. There is a primary user and secondary user. Primary user is the one who is using copyrighted works personally. For example, at your home, in your car, in your headphone going in the way. There you are not supposed to pay anything. And there is a secondary user, is someone who has consumed personally that copyrighted works, and he found that it is very pleasant so that it can also attract its client. When you bring the copyrighted works in the public, you are in the second category that is called the secondary user. And the secondary user is the one who is supposed to pay, is the one who is supposed to get copyright license, as the primary user is not gaining anything. And as you know, the public has to access information.
Yeah.
The content of the works are so many information.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works.
But I'm going to ask you, because we mentioned earlier on, you know, the monies that are collected. At least now you've mentioned who is supposed to pay, and what is the procedure of actually paying, and who cannot pay. We've looked at the projections for the music market, which is actually projected to reach $367,000 US.
Yes.
And probably there's a musician who was listening or watching me mention those statistics and are saying, I never see that money. I never see it. Where is it?
Yes.
And I've been hearing my music being played left, right, center. So let's talk a bit about the collections.
Yes.
The year is getting into the middle of the year. Could you be able to just update us on the numbers, the volumes of collections? How much have you collected so far? Who is getting the most? Who's getting the least? So that at least we can be able to try and make sense of these statistics that are pointing us to a good direction in terms of the music industry or the production or, you know, the creative space.
Yes. With reference to the last distribution, the last year, the first one had been collected 2.5 million Rwandan francs.
2.5
yes.
million.
Million Rwandan francs. And the last 100 or even the coin.
So my question is, then those who actually paid, how do they feel if those who didn't pay, nothing is being done to them? So aren't you afraid that probably even those who made the amount to get to 2.5 or to get to those coins that you're saying would also just pull out and just say, why should we pay when others are not paying? There is no full enforcement. It is not fair. Aren't you worried that all this about what the association is supposed to do is just a wild goose chase?
Yes. As I have told you, we are trying our best to make all the users to pay, as it's very, very detrimental if everyone says that I'm not going to pay as others are not paying. So we are trying to make all of them to pay by means of enforcement bodies and to enforce the law so that every reluctant user can be punished as provided by the law, so as to make others pay, and those who have been paying will be courageous and will continue to pay. So That's what we are planning, and it's going to.
So you're choosing the direction of punishment
So,
to be able to make these people, it's a carrot and
in this
stick
process, yes, it's a carrot and stick
So you're gonna go
approach.
for the stick.
Yeah, we have begun with carrot, explaining it to them, telling them to pay. We organized many workshops in collaboration with ministries, in collaboration with Rwanda Development Board. That was a carrot approach. And now there should be a stick approach so as to make them paying. As if the law is there, it should be obeyed. None is entitled to refuse complying with the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what if someone out there is watching and is saying, I've not even seen the carrot itself?
Yeah.
Because I still don't understand the role of this association. I don't even get where they publish the information. I don't even get when do they visit, institutions or places. I don't even know where they operate from. It's just like saying probably we are seeing a chip in the eyes while there's a big log in our own. What would you say have been your failures as a society that you also think is contributing to the little uptick of what the society is supposed to actually be getting?
Yeah. Before saying our failures, let me say something. We can use mass communication, we can use all other means.
Yeah.
But the most credible mean of communication is one by one and having some conversations. And I'm sure 99% of users, we wrote to them appointment letters, we have informed them, we met with them physically to explain to them. Or at least 1%, the new users who are coming in these last months are not getting more information. But many users, radios, televisions, bars, restaurants, and others were contacted and we have met with them. I'm sure we have met with them.
So you're saying, wow, you guys must be like, superheroes. All the hotels in this country, all radio stations in this country, all bars and saloons, you have walked into their doors and said, hey guys, we are here and you need to comply.
Yes.
All of them.
All of them. Even the radio or the hotel, which has few letters, has 2 letters. And we have met with them.
Yeah.
Others said we are trying to see how we can pay.
Yeah.
We are getting more information.
Yeah.
We are going to ask it to RwandaTV and other government officials. We are in a bid to escape to comply with the law, but we have.
You've done that. And you're ready to take the 3rd letter.
The 3rd
and the 4th and the 5th.
And the stick approach.
Okay. And probably that's where the problem is, because you may not be able to achieve different results if you use the same approach. It's been 13 years.
It's not the same approach.
Yes.
I said to you that we have conducted the workshops. We have prepared the media tours in print and broadcasters media. We have done so many things. We have called them through the phone. We have done many things to make them aware of copyright and IP system in Rwanda.
But it's not working.
It's not working. So the last that is going to be done, and with reference to other countries, it's the stick approach, enforcement. Because in other countries where the system is working well, they began like how we began. all users.
But you've had
as
an
you
advantage
know,
of
in
learning
the
from
business.
them. Why would you take the same footsteps and say they also went through what we are going through, so we are also in that stage? I think this would be a better environment to be able to say, look, we've learned from the challenges of country XYZ.
Yes.
I think for us, we will skip these stages because we've learned from their mistakes, and now we're going to be much better. I mean, I'm just trying to understand that approach that you're taking of saying, good, others have gone through the same,
yes.
Even us, we are in that stage, and we are hopeful that things will work well.
We can't step into their shoes 100%. But we can study or learn few things, and we can draw some lessons from them. And we hope that it will work. And one thing that is very fortunate is that the law is under revision. There are some articles that were not clear. And the law which has been approved by the cabinet is much more clearer than the current. And all those things will be fruitful for the creatives so as to generate more money. And the government has the will. And Rwanda has the vision that in 2050, the creative industry will contribute 10% on the GDP. And you understand that the government has, there is what we call political will. And I think that all of them will try to bring the fruitfulness of the corporate system in Rwanda, as the creative industry is one of the things that is being recognized in the country. And we know that we don't have land, we don't have so many things, but our mind is working well. Henceforward, it will be fruitful as the youth and young generation will create their own job through creative industry.
So my question would be, if there's a list of the people who are actually either promoting or failing the creative industry is being drawn. If they drew you in the list of those who are failing them by not actually making them receive what they are supposed to receive, would that be a wrong analogy? Because look, you've said 2.5 million is the most collected. That's the maximum you guys have collected. And just an artist to produce their music video, that's a drop in the ocean. 2.5 million is so little for production of a music video. And if this 2.5 is cumulative for all creators, it has to be divided among them. I'm sure some of them will be receiving even 500 francs out of their work. So, aren't you failing them?
Oh, let me tell you, we have not many users who comply. For example,
fine, we know
not
they are
more
not
than 30 compliant. Not more than 30 compliant.
So then we should disband the society because it has failed to push for compliance.
Let me tell you. If not at least 30 compliant were paid and the most performer got 2 million. What do you think if all users of copyrighted works pay?
No, let's make
there is something which is being done. We are trying to expand the market. Those disc banners are going to begin to pay. Are one of the people who get more money from the copyrighted works, and the rights holders are not getting anything from
if they're watching us tonight, they should know that their time is up.
So you understand that the way is still long, but we are trying to go faster so as to make more revenues from copyrighted works. So you think that how will it be in 4 years if the users of cooperated works began to pay as it is provided by the law.
Yeah, maybe the issue would be maybe we'll keep dreaming and thinking about 4 years, and what about
not
now?
dreaming, because from in 2010 up to 2017, we have not yet collected any amount of money. After 2017, up to now, we have collected more than 60 million Rwandan francs. You understand that many things are being changed, and the mindset of users are being changed through campaigns and through many different approaches. And we are going to put more efforts than previous. So we think that, and we hope that things will be effective and efficient as all stakeholders in the corporate are understand what to be done and how it should be done, what the challenges, and how to overcome the challenges.
Yeah. So back to accountability issues. I need you to just clarify for us. You're a CMO, but is it government? Is it private? Is it public-private? What are you?
We are private CMO, and it is provided in the law, but in the law which is under revision, it will be public,
right,
so as to build the capacity.
So you'll now become public.
Yeah.
So if you're going to become public, then taxpayers are going to be funding your operations. And if that's the case, they'd be looking back at the performance when you are private, especially with that notion that private is actually supposed to be, you know, faster. We're able to actually push things and make things move.
Yes.
How should they, or why would they trust you to give you a mandate as a public organ to be able to execute this very important role in a very important sector for this economy, if this track record has been like this? Do you feel that there's been a failure in the society, or you still feel, oh yeah, we've done our part, we have really done well, and I think the failure is another side? Do you see any failure in the society?
No, I don't see any failure, because the thought of making private CMO to the public CMO is what we done abroad the country. Many CMOs begin with being public, and after they become private. But the challenge we encounter is that we began with being private, and it was not more fruitful because it was the new aspect in Rwanda. Rwandans are not aware of CMO. And for example, in Tanzania, they have had public CMO, which is called the COSOTA, Corporate Society of Tanzania. And now from the big, and it was public due to making the institution be trusted, be powerful. And you know, in Africa, the public institutions are very credible than private. That's why Rwanda now is going to form the public CMO so as to make
in other spaces or other jurisdictions, I think normally they say, or they feel, and I think maybe this could be different in your case, when you are public and then you turn into private, then it shows some level of growth, stability, that there's actually someone who has seen that I can drive this, you know, even to better or greater heights in that case. When government takes you back, it's like, oh, babies, come back here, we give you, we spoon feed you, we do everything for you. And probably that could be what is being portrayed here, but I might be wrong. You might be able to clarify for us. But the key question that I wanted just to understand before we close this particular conversation tonight is, where do you see the mistakes? I'll still keep coming back to this particular question because it is not accurate that you are 100% correct, that you are 100% perfect.
Yes.
What is it that you feel you need to actually put your socks on to be able to deliver this mandate of your role as a CMO, to be able to give back to those who have worked so hard with their creative work?
Yeah. So, you know, we didn't have enough human resources to work as we want to do in previous years. And as I have told you, we had financial issues. And we had not the law that were clarifying things well. And it was very, very difficult to make the users of cooperative works understand. And there were some source of revenue that should generate more income for the creatives that were not in the law. And in the months ago, in the forthcoming months or the year, there will be some articles and provisions that will be fruitful. For example, in other countries like Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, and other countries, there is what we call private copyleft, which generates more money. There is what we call resale right, that is fruitful for fine artists, which were not in the current law. And those provisions had been put in the law which is under revision. And all of those will be very effective and will be very fruitful for the creatives. So I think that all of those things I mentioned are the things that had prevented us to achieve more goals and get more collections. Yeah. And I think that in the future, the CMO will be collecting more money from many different
spaces. You still haven't told me what you feel is your role in the failure of the collection to the tune of what is expected. But I'll leave it at that. And I'm going to ask you, you spoke about the fact that you're collecting even for international artists. I gave an example. You talked about Jay-Z, you spoke about Beyonce and the rest.
Yes.
And I want to understand now, what about our local, creators? Let's say a musician who's Rwandese and their song is being played in Kenya,
yes,
in bars, in every other place. So if enforcement at home has been a difficult issue, yes, how are you enforcing the collections outside of Rwanda?
Yes, thank you. We are the member of what we call CISAC, International Confederation of Societies of Authors and Composers. That confederation, CISAC, is like what we call FIFA in football. CISAC has more than 200 members, and RSAU is member of CISAC. All of those members sign what we call reciprocal representation agreement.
Yeah.
We signed the reciprocal representation agreement with MCSK, Musical Cooperative Works in Society in Kenya,
yes,
Samuro, Gamuro, Ghana Music Rate Organization, and the other CMOs across the continent and across the world.
Yeah.
If I sign a reciprocal representation agreement with Gamuro or Koson in Nigeria, we agree that any works of Rwandan or of our member which will be played on your territory, for example, Nigeria, you will go and license its users, and then you will pay us through that umbrella I have just talked about, which is CSAC, and the money will arrive to us.
Yeah, but that still requires enforcement.
Yes, it's still required, but in other countries, enforcement has been put in place.
It's easy
and
to
the problem we encounter, as I told you, is reciprocal. They tell us, give us the money from Rwanda, and then we shall give you the money from our country.
So maybe Rwandans have been missing out a lot because you're not collecting enough.
Yes,
so a lot of Rwandans are missing out from the collection.
And there are many.
So you're still feeling you're not failing Rwandan creators?
No,
because if it's reciprocal, with the numbers you've told me here, then Rwandans are really losing out.
Do you know how old for example, Gamoro is, or Kapaso is? More than 60 years. And they have met many challenges. That's how corporate system works.
So if they have made challenges over the last years that they've been, even us, let us
and
have
we
challenges,
are trying, we are struggling, but I have the hope that we will overcome those challenges as soon as possible, as we have so many stakeholders that are trying to try their best, and they have the capacity to change many things, such as governments and other institutions which will be corporate partners in this country.
I'm going to ask you one last question, or closer to the last question. You said you have around 1,000 representatives or members that you represent.
Yes.
Against a target of how many? How many are you looking at?
At least 7,000.
7,000?
Yes.
That's not even close to a half quarter of that target.
Yes, as we are multidisciplinary CM, we don't have another CM in Rwanda.
Yeah.
You understand that you have to have members from the whole country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So who do you report to as CEO? Is there a board?
I report to Rwanda Development Board.
Rwanda Development Board.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much, Jean de Dieu Turi Nimana, who's the CEO of Rwanda Society of Authors. And thank you for making time to be right here with us on the show. Probably an idea that probably someone would be saying is, why don't you look at incorporating the licenses within the one-stop center, whereby if I'm opening a bar, don't come to my bar to tell me about another different license. Why don't I just have it when I'm actually incorporating my business? But like you said, you have nothing that you feel you need to really work on other than what the others are supposed to deliver and the stick approach. But we want to wish you all the best. Thank you so much for making time on the show. That has been the Chief Executive Officer of the Rwanda Society of Authors, Jean de Dieu Turinimana. He's been shedding more light on the role of the Rwanda Society of Authors. What do you think about his statements? Are you happy? Are you content? Are there any issues that you'd like to raise? The conversation does not end on these four walls. It actually does continue, and all we need you to do is just get in touch with us. The hashtag, as always, is the Summit RW. We'll see you next time, same place, same time. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe. Goodbye for now.
bizinesi yanjye iri gukura kuko mbirimo neza wowe se
buri gihe ko mbashije mama na papa igihe basanguye igipupe barambwira ngo tubirimo imba ni ibiki
abana banjye mbaye ibyo bifuza byose kuko mbirimo wowe se
bitsa unigurize na mokash maze uhabwa amahirwe yo kwegukana igihembo nyamukuru cy'amafaranga $5,000,000 muri tubirimo promo. Kanda akanyenyeri 182 akanyenyeri 13 winjire muri promo ya mokash. Tangira wihesha amahirwe yo gutsindira cash buri cyumweru na buri kwezi. Amategeko n'amabwiriza birakurikizwa.
For the first time in history, the National Seed Association of Rwanda is organizing the first Rwanda National Seed Congress 2023 from 31st July to 1st August 2023, Kigali, Rwanda, bringing together seed industry actors from the local, regional, and international levels to convene in Rwanda. The Congress aims to discuss the private sector's strategic roadmap for Rwanda seed industry 2030, while exploring the opportunities in Rwanda's seed industry through partnership and collaboration. Join us from 31st July to 1st August 2023 at Kigali Marriott Hotel. This Congress is organized in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, the Rwanda Private Sector Federation, One Acre Fund, Bank of Kigali, and other stakeholders in agriculture sector. For more information and to register, go to www.ensar.rw.
Hello there, greetings and many thanks for joining us on Rwanda Television News tonight. Here's the heads up on what is coming up. The spokesperson of the Rwanda Defense Force, Brigadier General RwandaTV, announced that the misconduct was one of the cause for the dismissal of 116 army officers and 2 generals. The government of Rwanda spending on scholarships for students who go to study abroad has declined by more than 50% in the past 6 years. On the international scale, Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to dozens of criminal counts of mishandling some of the U.S. government's most sensitive secrets and scheming to prevent their return in a historic first count appearance of a federal defendant. A great Wednesday evening to you and welcome to Rwanda Television News. We'll go to the news in details. The spokesperson of the Rwanda Defense Force, Brigadier General RwandaTV, announced that misconduct was one of the causes for the dismissal of 116 army officers and 2 generals. Adam Squizera starts us off tonight.
Ibikorwa bitesha agaciro umwuga wa gisirikare.
This was reiterated by the spokesperson of Rwanda Defense Force, Brigadier General RwandaTV, where he shed light on the dismissal of 2 generals, who are Major General Aloys Muganga and Brigadier General Francis Mutiganda.
Major General Aloys Muganga was dismissed for excessive drunkenness. That is unacceptable when you put on this uniform. Brigadier General Francis Mutiganda was dismissed because of gross insubordination. Insubordination is when you deliberately disobey specific orders from your superiors, or you conduct yourself in such a way that you do not respect authority and do not follow orders from those above you.
On 7th June, the Ministry of Defense released an announcement from the Commander-in-Chief about the dismissal of 116 army officers and the rescission of service contract of 112 of them. Colonel Lambert Sendedia, who is in charge of RDF personnel, explained more about this rescission of service contract of these 112 army officers.
When an officer commits gross misconduct, he cannot be, because he's not led by contract. He's a professional. So the only way for him to get out is dismissal.
Currently, there are 8 army officers who are under military prosecution, where a majority of them have been charged cases of theft, drug abuse, and smuggling. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adams. Moving ahead to matters related to education. The government of Rwanda